Hey guys, in this video it's just going to be another marker video, and this time I'm going to be drawing Soldier 76 from Overwatch. I say I'm going to draw him, I've actually drawn him off camera, and I've also used a fine liner to ink him. I was actually tempted to record the inking, but I do put my head quite close to it while I'm doing that, as silly as it sounds, so I think my head would have been in shot and blocked everything. So I just figured I'd record the markers. And this is the second page in my marker sketchbook. I think there's about 25 pages in total, and I'm hoping by the end of filling this little sketchbook that I'll have some pretty cool drawings, maybe for a video. And I'll try and record a few along the way like I've done with this one. To draw this, it actually took me quite a while because I wanted to get it as exact as I could. So I actually drew a graph on the page and put a graph over the image I was using for reference, and that helped get it exact, but it did mean that it took me a really long time. The paper that I'm using is the Strathmore Vellum Bristol board. It's actually the journal, the A5 journal that they do. So I'm using the TouchNew markers in this one. If you've seen any of my recent videos, you would know that I recently got hold of these markers. They're quite cheap alternatives to things like copic markers. And I'm already finding that I'm using these markers a lot more than some of the more expensive brands that I've got. I think it's just because they're so cheap in comparison that I'm less hesitant to just pick them up and use them. Whereas things like copic markers, they're that expensive that I almost don't dare use them, as ridiculous as that sounds. And also it just means that I can use these to practice for improving my skills at using alcohol markers, because I'm still pretty new to it, and I do find at the moment it takes me absolutely ages to finish any marker pieces. And on a separate piece of paper to this, I have a colour swatch for all these markers, and on top of that, before I start each piece, I play around specifically with the colours I'm going to be using, so in this case blues, some skin tones, some pale greys and stuff like that. I start off with quite a few different colours or quite a few different tones, and then I narrow it down to which ones I think look good and blend well together and things like that. So before I even started this piece, I'd spent quite a while preparing for it, let's say. Hopefully the more I use them, the quicker I will get though, and I'll maybe begin to know which colours blend best together and things like that. With this one, I started with the flesh, but it's only one base colour that I've used for the skin tone, along with one colour for the shadow on the skin tone. Then I moved on to his visor, so I've used a yellow for the middle. On each picture I looked at, it was a slightly different colour in this area. I did use a few different oranges and reds on this as well, but they were that close together that you can't really tell. So it's a slightly paler red towards the bottom of the visor. And the blues, I think I had 3 different blues for this. One was really pale, one was obviously darker, and one was mid-tone. I think I actually had an even darker blue as well, but it was almost black, so I decided to leave that one, at least to begin with. And the greys that I'm using are all just cool greys. I didn't have any neutral greys for this, so cool grey was sort of the closest thing I have. I think if anything I've gone a little bit too dark on the white of his jacket, and I needed to get some contrast because his jacket is white, and his body armour and his ammo pouches, or whatever you want to call them, were closer to black. But I'm using cool greys for both of these. To actually draw this piece, I did use reference. You'll probably recognise the picture if you are a fan of Overwatch. I think this is probably one of the official ones that they use, so I can't take credit for the design or the pose or anything like that. I'm using this more of just a bit of a study and a way to just practice using my markers. The fine liner that I used off camera, and I think you might even see it in camera a few times throughout this video, was actually the Copic multiliner. It's one of the first times I've used it. It worked really well. The problem I've got is it's a really fine one that I've got. So at the end you will see me use different pens. It's actually the Faber Castell Pitt pens I use at the end. They're not quite as marker proof, but when I'm using them towards the end it doesn't really matter because they are going on top of the markers, so the markers aren't going to be going over those to smudge it. The Copic multiliner does seem to be completely marker proof though. I did want to get a little bit more of a shine or a little bit more of a contrast on the nose area on his mask. But I messed that up a little bit, so I had to do my best to sort of blend it a little bit. It almost started bringing the page up as well, so I had to be really careful with that. I do go in with pencil colours, and I'm just trying to darken some areas as well as lighten some, but to be honest it didn't make that much difference. And I coloured that area in the background. I just put like a black rectangle. I don't even know really why I did that, to be honest. It just looked too empty without anything there. My camera did actually stop recording though because it was full, so you may notice that it did jump a little bit. Again, I just filled it in with a black marker. So here I am just using the Faber Castell Pitt pens, going over some of the inking lines that I felt I'd lost a little bit from the markers, and then putting a thicker outline all the way around the edge. Not everyone's a fan of that, which I completely get. I've always liked the look of things with a thicker black outline, and I thought it just makes it look a bit more finished. And then the final thing that I do is I just go around with a white gel pen to add in some of the highlights that I missed earlier. I did try to plan this piece the best I could and leave some areas white, but I ended up blending over them and pretty much losing the white. So I'm going in with a gel pen later. And yeah, that's it really. It's just a short video. Figured why not record it whilst I was doing it anyway. I was really pleased with the way this turned out. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Let me know what else you think I should try and draw. Whether it's another character from Overwatch or something completely different, I would love to hear your ideas. And as always, if you did enjoy the video, please do hit that thumbs up button, share it with your friends, leave a comment, and be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching.